The following contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Hello, boys. Mark.
I just pooped and it smells fabulous.
Lowell.
Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one.
It's the Mark and Lowell Show.
It was a show just for me and you, much like this podcast.
Where two guys bring you stories and opinions.
Our listeners will not laugh.
But if we laugh, then people will laugh.
Built on 30 years of friendship.
You were singing operatically.
Yeah, while you were taking the camera.
And I was zooming in.
Zooming in on my crotch.
Yes.
Along with a regular cast of pals to help them remember it all.
Camp is the best.
Get your shit together.
All right, so back to your swamp ass.
Say ho.
Now, here's Mark and Lowell.
Hello and welcome, everybody, to the Mark and Lowell Show. I'm your host, Aaron Lamb, and as Mark recently announced, I'm the new producer for the show. I'm here this week to host the best of the Mark and Lowell Show, and this just so happens to be the 9th edition of the Best of MandL. As with the previous 8 editions of the Best of MandL series, I dove deep into the MandL logs for a few of my favorite segments over the years. For this best of, we're going to take a look back at some more Ramblewood memories. We're also going to have a bunch of audio from the time that Mark and Lowell journeyed to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, one of my personal favorite episodes. But first, I'd like to kick things off with one of my proudest intern moments from years ago. It's some fun audio from episode 125 featuring Jonah Berger on the Smart People Podcast.
Resistance is futile. It's the Mark and Lowell Show.
Now, this next tape, as you know, I will scour the internet. You know, I like to scout new podcasts, or maybe good podcasts, and maybe see if they'd be a good fit for Realm.
Sure.
So one day I was doing that just this week, and I came across a podcast. I don't know who these people are, but I'm going to give them a plug. It's called the Smart People Podcast.
Okay.
They interview people. It's just kind of, I think their format is every show they interview somebody that they feel is worth sharing with the world.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm looking down their list, and I see interview Jonah Berger.
What?
Jonahberger. I mean, it was Jonah Berger.
What?
So, of course, I listened to it, and you won't believe what Jonah does that we don't know about.
Oh, no.
So this is a lot of tape, so we can stop it.
Wait a minute. You just found this?
I just stumbled on it.
Wait, and does Jonah know you know about whatever you're going to tell me?
No, he doesn't know.
Oh, God.
And I tried to get him on the show today, but he's got that girl in town.
Oh, yeah. Great.
So
he's going to, well, if this is this embarrassing?
You'll have to tell me.
Okay.
So here we go. This is a lot of tape, so we can stop and talk about it. Just let me know if you want me to stop it at some point.
Okay.
All right, here it is. Jonah Berger on Smart People Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Smart People Podcast. Another episode with Chris and
John.
Fill in the blank.
And this is John.
There you go. There's
Very professional so far.
Yeah, you can fast forward through all this.
Yeah.
So this week we talked to Jonah Berger. And John, you want to tell him a little bit more about Jonah?
He's had his articles and research published in places like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Science, Harvard Business Review, Wired, Business Week.
Did you know any of this?
This isn't the same Jonah Berger.
Let's keep listening. I think it is.
You can tell when a guest just knows their stuff. Cold, down, pat. And he does it. He doesn't miss a beat. The sound quality's awesome. His responses are awesome. There's stories in here. This is a really cool episode. Here's Jonah.
Well, he does have his own mic.
That's true.
So the first thing really I have to ask you, all I read is nonfiction, and I've read your book, I've listened to you talk. You know
he does have a book.
No, but yeah, with a million typos in it, and
but he's
bad grammar.
He's smart and has a book.
And so I really do trust a lot of things you say. One of the things I wonder is when you say research shows, does that mean, look, this is most likely, very likely, almost definitely true? Because I just feel like no way if I listen to French music, I'm going to buy French wine. I don't want to believe my mind is that easily manipulated.
There was a time 2 summers ago where I was going to go in the fall either to Europe or to New Zealand. And had I gone to New Zealand, I ended up going to Europe. Had I gone to New Zealand,
there was a treehouse rental place that on the beach of New Zealand, you can rent a treehouse and quite literally live up there.
Sure, and that makes sense. And oftentimes I am buying wine.
You're funny. You're a funny guy. You're a very funny guy.
That's Jonah's voice.
I know. Yeah, I know. And I know where. What do you think? I don't listen to our own show?
I don't think many people will disagree that word of mouth is the strongest motivator to purchase something. It's the thing that people rely on the most. Should advertising be more targeted at creating word of mouth?
My favorite superhero on the Super Friends was always, and I don't even know what they call him, but for lack of a better way to put it, Stretchy Man. He could like make his arms and body like contort and go as far stretched out as needed. And the one episode I always remember, I always talk about this when he comes up, is they're all sitting around in the halls of justice. They're having lunch, and Superman or someone goes, "Pass the ketchup." And they're like, "Oh, we don't have any ketchup." And Stretchy Man is like, "On it." And his arm goes out the front door of the Hall of Justice, down the street, makes a right, goes into the diner, grabs a bottle of ketchup, and his arm comes all the way back and he passes it to Superman.
Now, I don't think Jonah is answering the question well.
He's dodging the questions, but the guy seems to be accepting his answers.
I think so. Let's see if he has any others.
No, that's perfect. And that's really useful, and it makes a lot of sense. And that's a perfect segue into let's talk about word of mouth marketing in general. I mean, you have done tons of research and you cover it in your book, Contagious. What are the keys to it? If somebody is putting together this, say we're trying to turn customers into advocates, what do we do? How do we do that? I know that's a broad question, but
after I left Maryland on the shores of North Carolina, I am camping by myself, me and the pooch. He and I are just chilling, kind of getting things set up, and I was getting pangs. It wasn't full fweep. It was like little teeny fweep. So the evening comes, it gets dark, I make my fire, and I'm eating a lot. So about 20 minutes go by, and I'm like, you know what? I think I need to go.
Now, that has to be a very daunting task. How's the process go? Do you break it down? Is there one key step, one word you need to focus in on? Everybody has their little tips.
No, it's embracing the fact that the dude is coming. So I would estimate what felt like an hour goes by, but probably about a minute and a half. And dude, it's coming. There's not even the thought of leaving the picnic table area. So I'm literally looking around, and now I've got a new pair of eyes. I'm like, all right, what's a toilet? I'm not kidding you. Within the span of about 30 seconds, I've got my pants around my ankles. I sat facing away from the table part on the bench and shoved my ass hanging over the bench on the inside. Now I've got a wipe. So my journal is on the table, and I was like, prime pickings, man.
I think that's a fantastic point, especially because I can't say I've never understood, but in your research, have you found that this all stems back to the fact that we are humans, we like community, we like to be involved with each other, and we like to seem knowledgeable so others reach out to us? Is it really that human connection that you found is the driving force behind all of the principles you named earlier?
I ripped 2 pages out of my road atlas because they're thick paper, man. I folded them up and I grabbed the doot and I folded the doot in the paper and I threw it in the fire. I wasn't going to throw it in the trash. Like, I didn't want to attract anything, you know? The moral of the story is don't wait till 8s or 9s to take action.
Well, Jonah, thank you so much for being on the show. I know you mentioned your website, jonahberger.com.
Oh.
Is there anywhere else? Are you active on Twitter or, places we can find you?
So I asked this lady, could I take her out? We could wine and dine and talk about the birds and the bees of my waterbed.
Jonah Berger,
like
very famous.
All right, Jonah. Well, have a great night, and thanks again.
Naked Dark On.
That is, wow.
Wow,
Bonard.
He surprises us all the time.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Bonards, baby.
One of the smart people on Smart People podcast.
So I can't believe, wow, that's pretty rare that someone would have the same name, Jonah Berger.
I know.
That's really good. That was good editing there. That would have been fun for him to hear.
Yeah, I know. I really wanted to get him on, but we'll make sure he gets to hear it.
I thought you would throw a laugh in there somewhere.
What do you mean?
His
Yeah, that's
Joker
true.
laugh.
Yes, yes. Well, that was Aaron Lamb who did that whole thing for us.
Oh, he put it together.
Yes, our intern.
Oh,
so
very nice.
That was very nicely done.
That's terrific. Well done, sir.
The Mark and Lowell Show. Let the making begin.
Yeah, well, why don't we shift gears and talk about some people also who their reality might be a little bit skewed.
Yes.
And it was the people of the Maryland Renaissance Festival.
It is truly amazing how all those people, they stay in character the whole time.
They really do. And it's not just the hired help.
No, it's not. It's everybody.
Everybody there who's in costume seems to really believe that they are back in the Renaissance era.
They are. And even the people that are helping out at the concessions and things like that.
Yes.
I asked, where is ye olde ATM, milady?
Yes. And you always seemed to go into character whenever you were at a stand where we were purchasing something. You always would talk to them like you were from that time.
Yeah, remember that first beer maiden we saw?
Yeah, well, here's a clip from when we were ordering our first set of drinks.
So, Lowell, why are you annoyed with my beer choice?
Coors Light.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Water Light. You are a ye olde dope.
Ah, yes. Well, Lowell and I are planning on speaking all day long and adding the word ye.
Ye olde to everything.
So you'll hear a lot of that, I'm sure.
And you will through these clips. Day long, everything was ye old.
Everything was ye olde. It was ye olde porta pots, ye olde grog, ye olde ATM. How about those ATM lines?
Here's a tip. Anybody in the area going to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, please bring your cash ahead of time because there are only 2 ye olde ATMs and the lines were absolutely absurd.
They were dreadful. They were so long, it was forget it. Forget it.
It was forget it.
I mean, ridiculously long. We should have taken a picture of that.
Now, you were giving me a hard time, but I really wasn't so crazy about the food there.
Well, you were kind of having a moment. You were having your period a little bit.
No, I just didn't like the food.
No, you really were. I wish Amy was here because she'd agree with me. You had a period when we started with that food. Yes.
You know why? It's because when we got there, you and I spoke about the fact that a lot of people rave about the food there.
And those turkey legs. Let me tell you something about those turkey legs.
Yes.
Those did not look appetizing at all.
No, they looked raw.
The meat was red.
Yeah.
But who was that? Seth was telling us that they're smoked, right?
Yes.
So that's why they're red. But the meat looked raw in these turkey legs that everyone was eating.
Right. And we should say, speaking of Seth, we should say we were there in honor of his 40th birthday. Seth, your childhood friend and later a friend of mine and ended up being a business partner of mine for many years.
Right.
So we were there to celebrate his 40th, and he has gone many times, so he was a bit of our ye olde guide.
Right, so he was taking us around. But the one thing that was bad for him is he had his kids there.
Right.
So he couldn't completely hang out with us the whole time.
Right.
Just a quarter of the time. But it was fine. We got to hang out with him, and me and Amy kind of did our own thing.
And we had a good time. It's definitely a great place to go for people watching, but
oh yeah,
the food, the one thing I have to say I did enjoy, you and Amy got the fried macaroni and cheese.
On a stick.
On a stick.
Yeah, that was good.
They were these fried triangles, and inside was actual mac and cheese.
Yes.
So delicious.
We got fried mac and cheese. We got fried sweet potato fries, which you didn't like.
I didn't like them, not because of the sweet potato, because I've come around since you used to push that on me.
Yeah.
I've come around and enjoy those, but I just thought that these were it just seemed like they were right out of the frozen food aisle.
Well, all that stuff was.
Yeah.
All that stuff was. And I'll agree with you that the food was not hot.
Well,
you were lucky if it was warm, too.
And that's, I think, what spoiled me from the get-go, because you and I, the first thing we got to eat were the pretzels, the hot pretzels, which were
and they
cold.
Were cold pretzels.
Yeah, and they're on this big rack, and they are well salted, because sometimes I find that those pretzels, they don't salt them enough when you go to those things.
You know what I was thinking?
Yes.
Remember how much dust and dirt was in the air?
Oh, no.
I'm sure plenty got on those pretzels.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I don't know, and I noticed something, which this is why I keep thinking of the dirt. I noticed something last night.
Mm-hmm.
I took a shower. I blew my nose.
Yeah.
And there was dirt
Ugh.
in what came out. There was dirt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you have a nice dirt ring in the shower when you were done?
Yeah, I mean, my feet, my legs, we were dirty yesterday. There was a lot of dust in the air and dirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But one of the highlights from our experience there was I don't know, for whatever reason, we were kind of getting cold feet. We were jacked up to get interviews, and then we were hesitating a lot to ask people for interviews. But we saw this queen come by, and actually Amy got the balls, and she grabbed them for our interview. Do you want to hear that?
Yeah, let's hear that.
Okay.
So we are now at a different area of the Renaissance Festival Park. We're watching a band play in front of a castle.
Great band.
There are lots of interesting characters around here, but Lowell is starting to get cold feet about interviewing anybody. Isn't that right?
See, one of our friends, I'm looking on Twitter right now, just for folks out there, don't forget, FanDuel.com. He's asking for the promo code again.
You're going to tell them MLS.
MLS. Isn't it good that I'm taking care of business when we're supposed to be out here having fun?
See, you always have to throw that crap in there. I'm working right now.
I was working on the show.
You're really just trying to avoid the topic at hand, which is to interview some of the characters we see here.
And there are a lot of characters out here, that's for sure.
Would it be breaking the ice if we were to go interview...
From the Renaissance Festival.
That's Seth, and he was very jacked up and maybe had a few drinks at this point.
Couple of wines.
Yeah.
And there's Seth, and he said what?
MandL at the Ren Fest next year.
Yeah, well, we're here right now, though.
We're here right now. With boobs on a plate.
Dude, there are a lot. I have to say, there are a lot of boobs out here.
Yeah, I have heard that there are a lot of boobs.
A lot of, and a wonderful band is playing right now.
Oh, that band.
Like literally at their waist.
That's true. They are hanging boobs.
Yeah, the boobs were all over the place.
It was unbelievable how much cleavage.
That seemed like the theme. But again, mostly portly women.
Right. I've seen better boobs.
Yeah, just pushing up their entire boob. Just lots of push-up boob. Maybe just a couple of ones that were, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Over the years of coming to the Renaissance Festival, that it's 6 weeks of opportunity for people to break out all of their S&M gear that they've been hiding.
Yeah.
Here's the queen.
Oh, here's the queen coming, but we're not going to interview her, right?
Unless you want to. Oh, here they are. Oh, wait.
Wait, we do a radio show, a podcast.
Now, I'm thinking to myself, if they're in character, I was thinking this afterwards, and I'm saying, we do a radio show, a podcast, that means nothing to them, to their characters.
Said, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, what is...
podcast? I've never heard of it. No, just go, Lowell and Mark and Lowell podcast. I'm not familiar. I'm like, like podcasts like Adam Carolla. Or, yes, I know. Yes, of course.
Ye old Adam Carolla.
Yes, ye old Adam Carolla, sure. But Mark and Lowell, no, never heard. Not familiar.
All right, so here is an example of people fully in character.
So how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been in His Majesty's Court for about 10 years now.
10 years you've been coming here doing this?
I am Lady Elizabeth de Vere, wife to Sir John de Vere, and I am a lady in waiting to Her Most Gracious Majesty Queen Catherine of Aragon.
Did you get all that?
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive. And have you been coming here just as long or doing this sort of thing?
I be of the village. I be Nicholas Sneed of Spittle and Sneed for all your legal needs. No case too small nor fee too large.
Are you Jewish?
Nay.
Oh, okay.
Jews are not allowed in England, good sir.
Really?
Nay, they're not.
Oh, are we in England right now?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, we'll talk to you later then.
but if there are any about, I won't tell.
Oh, okay, good, because we are.
Oh, well, I'll keep them secret.
Okay, thank you.
Safe with me.
Thank you.
To go into hiding.
Yeah, we might have to do that.
Richard the Lionheart in 1215 owed them so much money, he decreed they had to leave the kingdom.
So we better really watch our step, is what you're trying to say.
Off with your head.
Yeah, so all right, thank you for the tip. And if we get in trouble, we'll call you. Right. Or, by yelling out loud, because no phones.
Need an acquittal, ask Master Spittle.
Oh, okay.
Deed be your need, ask Master Sneed, that be me.
Oh, wow, perfect. Thank you guys very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
God save you.
Yeah, she left by saying, God save you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that was a guy who was playing the role of a lawyer. I guess maybe in real life he's a lawyer. So he started going into ye old Johnny Cochran type sayings.
Yes, and he was like, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. They were interesting.
Yeah, very pleasant, very nice people.
You pulled out the Jewish.
Well, he was a lawyer.
Was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was... God.
Here's another clip, Lowell. This is when you had just referenced him earlier, when we kept bumping into the knight with the chains on his head.
Yes.
Yeah, here it is. And there's a few different things in this clip. So here you go.
You'd know that you're a douche when you are being stared at because your shirt is off and you're showing off your muscles at a Renaissance festival. You know,
remember
Right.
that?
This guy, yeah. So it's a Renaissance festival, but Douchey McDoucherstein has his shirt off and is just walking around, no costume. Yeah.
No costume at all. And his costume, he looked like a lifeguard. We really were bothered by him.
And we've named him Ye Olde Douche.
Yes, and he's a guy that he looks like he's a lifeguard, and he's got the whistle for some reason hanging on his neck.
Yeah, he had a whistle hanging on his neck.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But yes, he was in shape, right?
He was in shape, but had a little bit of a belly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's appropriate for the beach. It's not appropriate for the Renaissance Festival.
Right. Cleavage is fine for the Renaissance Festival.
Yes.
And you have the knight from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade behind you.
I see. I'm a little frightened. Amy's taking pictures, so we'll post it on the fan page, right?
And he's the one that says,
I'm going to be...
You must choose wisely.
Ask
him if he's from the movie.
Yeah, from Indiana Jones.
I'm a little frightened.
I am frightened too, and the listeners will see
on
the page why we are so frightened.
So we're going to not interview that guy and have to find somebody else.
Have you noticed though a lot of cleavage?
There's so much
We were
cleavage here. I just wish there was a lot of good cleavage, but I have noticed the hot female pirates.
Yeah, there are a lot. There's a big pirate theme going on here this year, and a lot of hot pirates.
And Amy knows one of the head pirates. She works with this head pirate that we met.
That's a he. We're looking at the she pirate.
I know, but he was tipping us off. He told us that every hour they go out to the parking lot and they all do a shot of captains, and then they come back in.
Oh, so he must be getting some.
So he might know where we can find the hot pirate women.
Yeah, that's going to do us a lot of good.
Yeah.
You're here with your girlfriend, and I'm married, so that's going to do us a lot of good.
Amy doesn't care. It's for the show.
It's for the show, right? It's for the show.
It provides great content for the show.
So what?
I need some ye olde food.
Yeah.
Ye olde bathroom.
All right.
And we were asking where the ye olde ATM was.
Yes, that's right.
We have to go.
Oh, Amy's
having her meter.
Her pee meter.
How's your meter?
My pee meter is at like a 9.75.
Are you sure it's your pee meter and not your other meter? I think you're lying. You're
All right,
lying.
she really has to go. Let's go.
We'll be back.
So there was a bathroom emergency.
And the ye olde porta pots.
And how about the men's bathroom area?
Yeah, just a big trough.
It was more in the style of the Renaissance times as opposed to the other area that actually just had the porta pots.
Right, if you were a male and you just had to pee, the section roped off for you was just a bunch of plastic troughs.
Yeah.
That was quite nice.
I did not want to use those. So
I did not either because I didn't want to belly up next to some obese king.
So I went and used the porta pots and I sent you some photos.
Oh, you did? That was so kind of you. Mark, as you know, when you go into a porta pot, there's usually some remnants from the people that have been there before you.
A lot of remnants.
Well, look at the people that were there.
Yeah, but it's like, why can't they make those things where it's a little more discreet inside? I mean, it's a wide open hole and you just see everything in there.
I know.
It's
like there should be like some
disgusting.
sort of screen to
they
cover it up.
They got to do something about that. That's just
I
wrong.
know. It's awful. But it's like, who dumps at the Renaissance Festival?
Well, we talked about that a little bit yesterday, and like you said, it's sometimes when your meter is pegged, you don't care.
Yeah, you don't care where you are.
Yeah,
like,
if you got
it's just so hot in those porta pots.
It was an oven in them.
Ugh,
yeah, it was
cooking.
awful.
It's kind of like when we were younger in your car, and you would fart and then turn on the heat.
Yeah, that's right. It could be the dead of summer, and I close all the windows and turn on the heat. And you used to get so mad.
Smoked out, man. Smoked out.
Our day ended there when we sat down to see some of the ye old magic show.
And we had it.
Yeah,
at that point.
There was a guy, and he was mainly doing more stand-up than magic.
Yeah, he was. And a lot of jokes that, unless you knew English medieval history, you didn't get a lot of the jokes.
No, so we finally, I looked over at Lowell, and you could see the disgust and despair all over his face. And
I was fading fast.
You were fading, so we decided, I think we're about ready to go.
Oh, you guys were ready to go too.
Yeah, I mean,
because Amy even said, "All right, I got to stand up and walk around, or we got to go." And
we all had enough, and I think that's the one thing I have to say is, I mean, it was a good time. We definitely had a lot of laughs, but I don't really get it. It just there's not a lot to do there except buy things.
Right, everything's for sale. Well, those shows that they have there are all free, like the jousting and all that. I mean, are included with the ticket price. But I described it as going to like Hershey Park, except there's no rides.
That's why it gets kind of boring. You can only people watch for so long.
Resistance is futile. It's the Mark and Lowell Show.
I did decide to drive up to Camp Ramblewood.
Yeah, so on your way back from New York, you decided to stop in and see our buddy Stu.
Yeah, our friend Stu, who's been on this show before, he's called in the early episodes.
He was the thumber guy.
Yes,
for those that remember.
For those that have been listening since the beginning, he is the storyteller of the Thumber story, and if I believe we have a show title that might be called Thumber.
Stu is basically, he's head of a YMCA Boys and Girls Club in Delaware, and he does camps in the summer, and he was explaining to us that he found out eventually that the kids were playing a game in the shower called Thumber.
And you can write your own ending.
Yeah, what you're thinking is correct. And he had to put a quick stop to it and had to put a big investigation into the kids and all that stuff. So he told that story, and it was very interesting. And now, as we told you last week, he is running a 1-week camp up at Ramblewood for kids with diabetes.
That's right. And he himself has diabetes, and they are there really to give these kids the time of their lives for a week, because most camps, what he was telling me today, most camps don't even really accept these kids with diabetes because they don't have the proper staffing to take care of these kids.
And did he pull and dude, you have no idea how much the insurance is for these camps. That's all he kept talking about was the insurance. Because when you guys wanted to try and bring Ramblewood back, like for 2 weeks, you're never going to be able to afford the insurance.
He was kind of the Debbie Downer when it came to that.
Insurance.
But it was very impressive. I won't give you too many details just to get to the meat of it, but I will tell you that it is quite an operation there. They took one of the bunks that we used to stay in, Lowell, and they made it into a giant infirmary.
Yeah, he posted a picture on Facebook. It looked pretty impressive. They had all kinds of medical stuff in there for the kids.
They do, and they have a 24-hour staff that was just always there for the kids, and it is quite impressive. We've talked about, or at least I've tried to talk about, us going to a camp one day. He really wants a bunch of us old Ramblewooders to go there and volunteer and help out with these kids. And Lowell, I'm telling you, we've been back several times as grown-ups with our reunions.
Yeah.
There was nothing like it today, walking through those campgrounds with children running around having a great time.
Did it bring back some memories?
It brought back a ton of memories. There were there's like 100 kids there. And the big game, which we've never really talked about, which I think is fine to introduce to our listeners, is a game called Gaga.
Yes.
Gaga is kind of a variation of dodgeball.
Right.
I think that's the best way to put it. And it's in a big, almost like an octagon type ring.
Yeah.
You just take one of those dodgeballs, and instead of throwing it, you're letting it bounce on the ground, and you're hitting the ball and trying to hit people's legs. If it hits your leg, you're out.
Right.
The kids are just in love with this game. It's actually a game apparently from Israel.
Yeah, it's an Israeli dodgeball.
But these kids, this is not a Jewish camp, but man, these kids absolutely adored the game.
What's not to love about it? It's a fun game.
He had heard this yesterday. He heard the kids talking about it, and one kid said, the great thing about Gaga is that even the unathletic kids are good at it.
Yeah, because even the athletic kids, you can get screwed in that. Like if you're not paying attention or if the ball just bounces funny, you can get out.
And of course, when they said it's even good for the unathletic kids, somebody else says, yeah, makes sense. That's why it was invented in Israel.
Yeah.
But one of the absolute joys of this trip, now we have talked about Pete before.
Tell me you got some audio with Pete.
I got some audio from Pete, and now
oh yes,
Pete,
I haul pig.
Yeah, he's the hauling pig guy. He has been
I told Paul I ain't going up there.
The ground custodian for years and years. As a matter of fact, Lowell, he gave me that magic number, how long he's been there. He told me that today.
About how long?
35 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said even prior to that, when he was a kid, he grew up in that area. And this is just kind of the real rural southern southern area of Maryland. Actually, I guess it's northern.
It's northern, yeah.
Yeah, but you're really in kind of a farm type town there, and he grew up there, and he said he used to sneak in with his buddies. He'd meet up with the counselors outside of the camp, and they would bring him in as a kid, and they would just run around the camp and cause trouble.
And then he ended up working there.
Now, Pete did tell me I happened to have been wearing my Mark and Lowell shirt.
Yeah, and I listen to the show all the time.
Yeah, and Pete loves you, so I said, hey, Pete, look at this shirt. I'm actually doing a show now with Lowell. And he said, oh, yeah, really? And he had a message for you. So I said, oh, wait, let me record this.
I'm here with Pete at Camp Bramblewood, and Pete told me he had a message for Lowell. So without further ado, here is Pete.
Hey, Lowell, remember the jacket I ain't got yet?
Remember the jacket I ain't got yet? No, wait, there's more.
Which jacket is that?
Channel 11. Thank you.
Oh, so Pete wants a Channel 11 jacket stat. He says he watches you all the time, Lowell, and you are just failing to come through.
Now, I want you to hear, and I've isolated it too for you, but I want you to try to make out what he says here.
And I'm raising Cain with him, and Paul is taking up for him.
I'm raising Cain, and Paul is taking up for him?
Paul is definitely taking up for you.
Yeah, see, now, I had no clue, so I was just trying to repeat what he said.
Do it again. I'm hoping, because the Skype kind of glitches when you play it in my ear, but do it again. I think that he says something about raising Cain. He's been raising Cain about it, and
Paula's taking on for him.
And I'm raising Cain with him, and Paul is taking up for him.
So Paul is taking my side, and he's yelling at me to get the jacket.
Yeah, but man,
I think that's what he meant.
How can anyone understand this?
And I'm raising Cain with him, and Paul is taking up for him.
In my line of work, I meet a lot of people with a lot of different accents and a lot of different ways they talk. So I'm pretty good at translating different ways people speak English.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then we were talking to him about all the different camps that come there.
Right.
There's a big popular camp now that's been going there for a few years called Fairy Camp.
Oh.
And Fairy Camp, I guess, is a lot like, it's like True Blood going to camp.
Yeah, I think a lot of kids like to, or not kids, but I think there's like a group of people that like the fairy genre.
Yes, and they all come and they
dress as fairies, with wings and everything.
And vampires, all sorts of the infamous monsters. They all go there and they spend some time at Bramblewood dressed like that.
What did he have to say about that?
He just said he can't stand it. And
I can't stand it. I'm already gain about it, but I told him I can't go up there.
And then he says to me, but I prefer the sex camps.
He did?
Yes. He said, I believe I have some audio here. We asked him about the sex camps, and we said, are they just out there having sex?
Oh, yeah, on the ground.
He says on the ground. They just have them all over the place on the ground. I know the audio is a little hard to hear because it's Pete, but I will translate when we finish this up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, on the ground. Jim. That's Jessica.
Which? The other group?
The other groups.
S&M group.
The sex group?
Did you join them?
No. They make a lot of crazy things.
They was right up here one time in this troop last year. They were having sex.
Yeah.
And people sitting around the chair.
Yeah. In the garage.
And this lady grabbed me and she said, you want to join them? I said, no, ma'am. I work better in undercover.
What happened was Pete was doing his job at Camp Bramblewood, and this woman, he sees these people having sex, and this woman, buck naked, comes up to him, and she says, hey, you want to join in? And he said something, no, I do better work under the covers.
Bucknet. I'm sure what that woman looked like.
Lowell, he said, here's the thing is that, and what everybody should understand here is that this is our childhood camp and even into our teens and early 20s. This is a place that we grew up, that kids run around, and maybe at night there's some hooking up.
There's a diabetes camp for children there right now.
That's right. Exactly right. And now it's completely tainted because there are ugly old people having sex all over the place in the wide open.
That wasn't a gay sex camp. It was like a nudist sex camp, wasn't it?
He said, I asked him, and he said that there are multiple types of nudity-related camps, including gay and lesbian sex camps. There are straight sex camps, and then there are just nudist camps that aren't there to have sex everywhere, but they just walk around the whole camp naked.
Oh, God. Disgusting.
It's so sad.
It's awful. It's sick.
It was nice to go there when there were just
sex camps going on in our childhood camp.
but it was good to see actual kids running around having a good time. It brings a whole new meaning. Everybody jokes with us that they call it sex camp, but
it really is.
It really is now. It's pretty scary.
Now I'm depressed.
No, sorry, but it was a lot of fun, and I was posting some pictures to our Instagram of my experience there, and I will post some more, including the game of Gaga, so people can see what that's all about.
The Mark and Lowell Show. Let the making begin.
Now, you always, speaking of your birthday, you never had your birthday at camp, right?
No, when we went to 6 weeks, it came so close, it ended the day before.
And that's kind of sucks, too, because, well, it's good and bad, because I remember usually the day after camp, we usually have some sort of party or something like that at somebody's house,
Yeah,
right?
well, a lot of times what would happen is because there were several counselors from out of state, and they wouldn't leave on the very day that camp ended. They would stay an extra day or two, and then usually we would have these hotel parties.
Right.
And so it's really basically a bunch of college kids partying it up in a couple of hotel rooms, getting crazy.
I just always remember, the day you get home from camp is so depressing.
It is.
It's just such a shock.
Yeah, you're in a daze because you were just essentially on your own. You didn't have to answer to your parents. Of course, you had to answer to counselors, but all of a sudden now you're back thrown into it, all the rules. Clean your room.
Yeah, and it's just like you're back in your room and you haven't been there for over a month. You've just been in this atmosphere that's just completely different. I remember it starts getting weird when the bus starts moving, and then we always used to go to this mall.
Yes, we did.
This food court at Montgomery Mall.
Yep.
Was where everyone would go.
Right after we got back into town.
It'd be weird. The whole camp would just show up at the mall at the food court. And that's when it all started getting weird.
First of all, you're not in the same environment, and you've got parents there with you, which throws a complete loop in the whole mix.
Right, because all the inside jokes and all the stupid behavior that you did at camp, that you would have no problem belting out anywhere at camp.
It's like, yeah, hey, Pee-wee.
And or the counselors would be like, oh, your son's hilarious. He does this thing, this PUE thing. Do it.
Yeah, and you're like, what? No.
No. You're like, oh, yeah, PUE.
Yeah, PUE.
Yeah, it's just, isn't it so weird? I wish I could just put this in a bottle to show how it is for the listeners, but it's so bizarre because you're on top of the world at camp. Mm-hmm. This is how it all goes down. You don't mind talking about this, do you?
No.
You go to camp, and the day you get picked up from camp, it's super weird because all the people that you remember from camp, this is the first time most people have seen them since last summer. You're getting ready to go. You're a little nervous about going, and then there's new people that you don't know, and you kind of find out who's in your bunk and this and that. And you get on the bus and you say goodbye to your parents, and it's super weird.
Yes.
Then you get to camp and you get to the bunk. It's still a little bit weird, but then you see some people that you meet some of the new people in the bunk, you figure out how it's all going to go. After the first night, I'd say it starts to click a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Once you've gone through a full day cycle, then that's it. Then it's all on.
And then from there, it just snowballs. If it's a good experience for you, then you start meeting girls and you end up having a girlfriend. Then 5 weeks go by and then color war hits.
That's actually more like 3 weeks.
I thought it's right before you leave.
But remember, the 4 weekers had to experience color war as well.
But wasn't it in the end, it was only 6?
I don't remember.
Yeah, this is what it was. I think for the last 2 years, I think it was only 6.
I would disagree with you, but nobody will care.
Jonah would know.
And I'll be right.
We should wager.
All right. How much you want to bet?
$20.
All right, $20.
So anyway, then color war hits. Let's just say it's in the 6th week, like I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Color war hits, and then after color war is over, it's kind of like, oh crap, we're going home.
Yeah, you're nearing the finish line.
Yeah, because after color war, it's all weird, and the structure gets all screwed up.
Everything kind of goes for S.
Yeah, and then all right, you have to be all packed by tonight so they can pick up the trunks, and then we're leaving tomorrow, and it's
and then it's over. Yeah,
and then that's when the weirdness begins, and then you get on the bus, and then you go to the Montgomery Mall, and then it's over.
Before we go to break, it reminds me when you talk about color war, you and I will always be a little bit bitter because we were never selected as the color war generals.
You got close, though. I didn't even get close.
The thing is the higher-ups would pick 4 counselors, 1 male and 1 female per team.
Right.
In some ways, it was like mega status for a counselor because you're essentially the favorite of most of the camp.
It also takes a special
It takes a real
Work
cheerleader.
ethic. Yeah.
And a real, yes, work ethic is huge too. It takes somebody who is going to take this as serious as the Super Bowl.
You know what? Looking back on it, I think they made the right choice by not picking me, at least, because I don't think.
You think?
Well, I mean, look, if they thrust me into it, I guess I would have grabbed the bull by the horns. But I mean,
But back then, I don't know
sleep.
that you would have.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe nowadays, if that were the case, you would give it your best. But back then, look, I think I am up there as well. I think if I did it, I would go crazy for the first 24 hours. But the next 2 days, I don't think I'd be able to handle it.
Yeah, because
it's up all night.
Control.
They have the counselors are basically up all night. They are working on whatever the next day's activities are going to be, and then they also have to scream and yell the whole entire time, and it gets really old. I remember you and I would sneak away during Color War and go to our bunks and just go take naps.
I know, we would. we would risk it because we said, what are they going to do? They'll just deduct like 250 points if we get caught. Who gives a crap?
Yeah, right. That's the other thing is whenever you do something wrong, if you get caught, you lose points for your entire team.
The whole thing is fixed anyway. The whole Color War is fixed. It basically comes down to who does a better song and presentation at the very end.
Yes, that's the grand finale. Everyone has to write a song and do a whole presentation along with it.
So you do this whole Color War. This is the BS of the whole Color War.
Right.
It's basically you go through all of this competition of sports and being on your best behavior and rope burns and Olympics and all this crap.
And by the way, you basically go 3 days with no seeing your girlfriend.
You know, when I was there, my girlfriend was the general of one team.
I remember that.
On the opposite team.
Yeah, and that was intentional.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But I still saw her, like, rarely. I would just be like, hey, how's it going? Da-da-da. But, like, you know.
Yeah, it would be weird, and you could never see them.
You're right. You're right.
3 days
right.
are precious when you're talking about 6 weeks.
And those are the last days. And I don't think we were allowed to go out to like Harvey's or anything like that either.
No, we were never allowed as counselors to leave during Color War.
What a nightmare. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because you and I were like, go catch a nap.
Yeah.
Cool. If you weren't involved in the particular event or anything, if you didn't have any responsibility, you could just kind of disappear.
You can disappear. It's just a matter of if for some reason the neutrals, which were the judges, if they happen to have done a little inspection and they find you napping.
I seem to remember, though, and I could be wrong about this, I feel like maybe we even went to like an abandoned bunk and took a nap.
Right, because not all the bunks were filled, and if you go to those abandoned ones, they're probably not going to look for you there.
They're definitely not gonna. So like we may have even done that. That might have been the smartest thing to do.
But I remember the closest I came to being a general was my final year there. They approached me, and right away I knew Color War was coming. I knew they were looking for who the next generals were going to be. And Marty, Jonah's dad, approaches me, and he says, "Come here, I got to talk to you."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, here it is, baby."
Yeah.
He sits me down. He's like, "All right, so Color War's coming.
Right.
And we really want you to be an attaché."
Yeah, that's right. The attaché. You're the attaché. That was it. I said, yeah, you got close.
I was like, okay. So what does that mean?
It's real important. Mark, it's actually more important than the general.
Yeah, all the BS comes flowing out.
Mark, it's... Listen.
So what you're going to do
this.
You are going to be the advisor of the generals.
You'll tell them what to do. You're kind of like the puppet master, and they're the puppet. So you're running the show, but you're not the general. But you are more important than the general.
So what my responsibility ended up being was a long nap every day.
Exactly. You didn't have to do crap.
I was like, F this.
Yeah, nap-a-shay.
And then I remember after I find out about that, it might have been a day later, you found out who all the officers of Color War were, and I remember you were like throwing a fit.
Yeah, I was pissed.
You were pissed.
I was like, they don't even ask me. I was like, I've been to this camp forever. I could do something.
I remember you were just steam coming out the ears.
I seem to remember that maybe Marty said something to me, but I can't remember. Just like, hey, champ, you know.
He's like, come on, you don't want to.
Come on, let's be honest. You don't want to do this. I'm going to go take a nap with Mark.
Oh, wait.
What?
What do you... No, now...
In the bunk.
Well, you got to make sure you say that right away.
Oh, sorry.
Resistance is futile. It's the Mark and Lowell Show.
Oh, speaking of Don and Mike, I have a special announcement.
You do?
Yes. Guess what I found?
What did you find?
I found, remember I mentioned I kept a journal?
Oh, yes.
I found the journal.
Wow, you really... So where was it?
It was in one of the crates that I was looking in, and I just didn't look good enough.
Oh.
And now I'm trying to find it.
And now you've lost it again.
And I've lost it again. Damn.
Great.
Damn.
Well, that will do it for thee.
Oh, no, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Do you want me to... I forgot all about this. I was going to tell you.
Yeah, give us a little taste.
All right, so here's you want to hear my first journal entry?
Yeah, I do. That would be perfect, because that's probably one of the days I don't really remember.
Okay, this is the very first journal entry. This is May 23rd, 1994. For those that... Well, everyone who listens to the show must know that you and I interned for Don and Mike.
Right.
This was my journal entry that I had to keep for school, for Penn State. I had to keep a journal of all of my interning.
Yep.
So this was the first day of the internship, and I wrote, "Today was my first day of work at Infinity Broadcasting's WJFK Radio. I am interning for the nationally syndicated Don and Mike show. The only problem I see about this internship thus far is the
Rob Spiewak.
Right.
No.
Is the 25-mile trek I have to make from Rockville, Maryland to Fairfax, Virginia. Actually, it's only bad when I drive home during rush hour."
Oh, that's for sure.
That's what I was worried about. I love the staff so far. Don and Mike have been pretty cool, and they seem to like me, especially Mike.
Yeah, that was good perception considering, that was only the first day, but as it turned out, I think you did get along. We both got along better with Mike.
Right, exactly. What you don't know is that I have a history with these guys. In high school, my friend Mark and I would call Don and Mike and do comedy bits for them over the phone. One thing led to another, and the next thing we knew, they invited us down to the station to do an hour of their show. Nevertheless, we kept good relations with their producer, Diana Silman, and when we called her last summer to ask for an internship this summer, she was more than happy to save the positions for us. Mark also is participating in the internship with me. I can't believe I spelled your name M-A-R-K.
What?
How did I do that?
How did you do that? It's not like you just met me.
But there's a ton of typos, and it's like I wrote this like as a draft. I'm very excited about doing this internship, and from what the staff says, we will be getting plenty of on-air time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. I guess I will find out tomorrow as we begin real work. I hope I enjoy it. What I've decided to do in all of my journal entries is rate them from A to F of how enjoyable the particular day was for me. Today's rating was a B+.
Wow, I wonder why I didn't get the A.
Yeah, so that was
cool.
That one.
Can you skip to another entry?
Let's see.
Let's find one maybe, if you can, find one where we were actually on the air. Skip ahead a couple weeks.
I think here's one where we helped Buzz when they were in King's Dominion.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
They went to King's Dominion to do a remote, and we stayed back. And yeah, I do kind of remember helping Buzz around the studio.
This was June 3rd, 1994. I've been sick with the flu for the past 2 days, and I returned to work. As it turned out, Diana thought it would be better for Mark and I to both stay back at the station and learn how to run the board for Buzz's the newscaster for the station, newscasts. So we didn't get to go to King's Dominion. We were upset, but we learned a lot about running the control board at the station.
Yeah, I remember that we were not happy about having to stay back.
We were so psyched because we thought we were going to King's Dominion, and they're like, no,
you stay back.
Right. What we had to do was record news actualities off a satellite feed and then transfer each one, there were about 15, to a cart. Then Buzz would call us from King's Dominion and tell us what stories he was going to read, and we would match us to the sound bites we had for those stories.
Wow.
Then when Buzz gave his newscast, we were given a cue, and we actually played the soundbite over the air. We had a very important responsibility, and we were nervous. But everything turned out fine, and it was actually pretty exciting. We actually had something to do with the broadcast of the station. I mean, we were not on air, but it kind of felt like we were.
That's right.
This was a bittersweet day. Bitter because we didn't get to go to King's Dominion, and sweet because we learned a great deal about running a control board and dealing with some of the pressures of radio. A-.
It's funny. I only remember, and it's vague, but I only remember the fact that we were kind of part of the broadcast, but I have no recollection of doing the actual work of pulling all the clips and putting them on carts.
Do you want me to read one more for you?
Please.
I just read the top line. This is from June 21st, 1994. Today began the series of on-air segments that we have been waiting for. We finally hit the jackpot today as far as being on the air goes. The day began as normal with the lunch run and all. That was when we had to get the salads and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, every day.
And the day was actually getting kind of boring. We had just I had just commented to Mark that we haven't been getting on the air at all and that I was kind of upset. He agreed with me and said that he wished that there was a way for us to get on the air. Well, soon after that, Don and Mike were talking about doing a medical experiment on Rob A., which required him to eat as many Reese's peanut butter cups in 10 minutes as he could. Soon after this was announced, they quickly changed their minds and said that Mark and I, who they call Lyle and Eric Menendez as on-air names, should do it. So they invited us into the studio and introduced us to the listening audience and said that we would be doing a lot of crazy stunts in the future and for us to get used to it. They then went on to explain to us our task of eating as many peanut butter cups as we could, but they added the only thing we could drink was buttermilk. Ugh. We were pissed, but excited. As bad luck would have it, a terrible storm hit the area and lightning struck the tower, and it caused a mass confusion, and our eating contest was pushed until tomorrow. Oh well, I can't wait. Today's rating A.
Wow, I don't remember. I mean, I kind of do remember there was a lightning situation at one point.
Yeah.
And I think even the show went off the air.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
They had all those problems.
But I don't remember, or I didn't remember that we actually delayed our appearance with the peanut butter cups.
Well, there's a bunch in here, and they're good stories, so maybe I should hold on to them, and we can talk about them more in the future.
The Mark and Lowell Show. Let the making begin.
Am I on?
Not yet. We're gonna.
Yes.
We're gonna.
Am I on camera?
No, not yet. We just had Jamie, so you're following Jamie Melser.
Well, then you know what happens then.
Yeah, big bust.
So, well, I just poured myself some Mad Dog, so I should be in.
Oh God!
I was told you're supposed to be wasted when you're on the show.
Yes, of course, always.
Okay. I'm almost there.
Oh my God!
See?
Hey, so I called this massage parlor. And I asked them if they did Greek, and they didn't know what I meant.
Shaq, it's good to hear from you. Are we on?
We're not on, but we can be on right now.
Let's get on. I know. We're all this material.
All right, well, we're back.
That's material? Hold on.
We're back with the Mark and Lowell Show, and we've got double guest Thursday. We've got our good friend Seth Weiner. Hello, Seth.
Hello, what's up?
How are you?
I am good. How are you guys?
Now, you just got back from coaching some soccer practice.
Yes, I actually, this season, I've got 2 teams. I've decided to try my hand at under 8-year-old girls soccer.
I've done that.
Yeah, what?
I've done that before.
Oh, yes, you've done that. I thought Lowell said he had done that, and that was questionable.
Yeah, that would have been a little freaky.
Yes, I do all of the under 8 girls leagues. Will you tell that story? Because I forgot that you fell in the campfire. To set it up, I had a little...
I'm not sure I remember. I just remember getting out of the campfire.
Well, yeah, I had, instead of having a big bachelor party, we talked about this on our show last week, I said, let's go camping. And we went. We had an awesome time, and you were the guy that knows how to do everything. Yeah, we went tubing. That's what I said. That was fun.
Yeah, it was very fun. We went tubing.
Except we realized that the tubing, it wasn't like Country River anymore. It's like it's like Disney World.
Yeah, there was no guy hanging over a rope bridge with a banjo this time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and there were tons of people, and there's even it's so impersonal now because there's even a video. Welcome to World Tubing.
Right.
Make sure to not do anything stupid.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we still managed to do. But so we were camping. I'm pretty sure what must have happened was I was trying to tend to the fire, and in doing so must have lost my sense of where I was.
Balance?
Yeah.
Well, but I still recall, I think, slipping on a rock as well. But ultimately ended up in the fire, and everybody all 3 of us just kind of laughed at my plight.
Yeah, we did. Because
I don't think we thought that it really happened.
I think what I seem to recall is I think you were cooking something for us. And I think you were dangerously close to the fire and making Lowell a little nervous. And he kept saying, be careful. And you were like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Right.
And then the next thing we knew, you were in the fire.
I was in the fire.
And I seem to remember also that you had, your hand was pretty burnt for a while.
I think it
there.
was. It was.
Yeah, did it blister or something?
I don't know if it blistered, but I'm pretty, I mean, I know that I was injured, but I have full function of my hand again.
That's good. And I
do remember there was a lot of laughing.
There was. And I also remember, Seth, that the next morning you basically had announced that you didn't sleep a wink because it kept you up. The pain of the burn kept you up all night.
Oh, that's true. Now I remember.
How do you remember that? I don't even remember any of that.
I do remember I was, And you know what happens is that as the sobriety begins to come back,
yes,
that's when the pain begins to come forward.
Right.
They sort of pass each other as they're going by.
Right.
It's like, hey, you remember I'm the burn and you're the liquor. So
hey, it's me, Burn.
Yeah, Montgomery.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is true.
Yes.
Anything else you want to pick on me about?
Let's see. No, but you know what? We're running out of time, so I'm gonna, instead of continuing on with the fantasy football, I do want to see. Do you have anything at all that you could tell us about Lowell? We just picked on Lowell with Jamie. So is there anything that you can recall about Lowell in your childhood? Because you guys are friends long before Lowell and I became friends.
That is true.
So do you have anything at all, maybe where he was a little out of control or lost all his patience and embarrassed you, anything like that?
I mean, nothing's really changed.
No, of course
all
not.
those things are actually still the same.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a Bob Seger song. I mean, nothing, it's still the same.
I think the best story was like the one that involved both of us, but I feel like we've told this story on the air.
If it's the one about Hebrew school, we told it at the Quinn show.
That one, I think, it's overplayed. I think the best story that continues is the overreaction with regards to Sega, Blades of Steel.
Yeah, video games.
I mean, to the point of bludgeoning with pillows.
Yeah, Mark, I'm not lying. Like, Seth and I would get into these, almost choke you out. Like, to the point of either your face was getting burned against a rug.
Right.
Or you were being smothered with a pillow almost till you passed out.
You guys were way too competitive.
Well,
we would get really angry.
It was more anger.
Did it.
It was anger because once you figured out the key to get the ace serve on tennis every time, and you knew that the other person knew you were doing it because you were losing. So you're like, all right, well, how do I get back into it? I'll use the fake ace. And you kind of make it seem like you didn't mean to do it, but they know it. And so then they start to stew.
Yes.
And then the stew brews, and then it's like another ace. And then slowly, one hand leaves the remote control and the other one grabs one of the pillows.
No, but also you have to egg on, too. And there's another thing that happens, too. I almost feel like we agreed that we couldn't do the ace. Like, you're not allowed to do the ace.
Right, you weren't allowed to do the ace.
Right. Because we both knew how to do it, and it's like you couldn't, it was just, you can't do the ace. So then if you did ace, you'd be like, dude, I didn't do it.
Right, it was just an ace. I didn't do it.
Right, I didn't mean to do it.
I didn't mean to do it. And then if like one was beating the other like bad at this point, you just turn to them and go, "You all right, man? You all right?"
Oh, I will tell you one thing. Lowell and I used to play, we had a seriously good gym hockey team in middle school.
Really? Yeah, that was the best.
And it was us with our friend Tom Lau.
Yeah.
Who, the three of us were formidable.
Tom
Lau. Tom Lau.
You're crazy,
we were
man.
formidable on the Robert Frost middle school basketball court during gym time when we played indoor hockey. We were pretty dominant. Surprisingly, when you look at us, to think that we would have that much athletic prowess when it comes to 7th and 8th grade floor hockey, but we had it.
We were great, and we looked forward to that all the time. And I think we even convinced the gym teacher, like, instead of doing different sports, to keep letting us do the hockey because we loved it so much.
Because we were so good.
You guys are like the Hebrew Globetrotters.
Yeah, but Tom Lau was our goalie, and at the time, Running Man was a big movie.
Yes.
We used to call him Sub-Zero.
Right.
Like the goalie from
right.
And every time he'd make a save, we'd go, Sub-Zero!
You would love it.
I'd like to thank everybody for checking out the 9th edition of the Best of the Mark and Lowell Show. These shows are always a lot of fun to put together. The full crew will be back very soon with another episode of the Mark and Lowell Show.
Toilet. Smiling pile of poo. That's the last message.
You know.
And every once in a while, he'd grab a knife and just saw off a log of hard salami.
Fuck me. Fuck you.
You certainly don't have problems making logs.
I'm happy to make logs.
Hashtag MandL120. Here we are.
Yes, here we are.
I got a whole pig. I gotta go.
And he's like, oh, yeah. I can't catch my breath. Guess what, kids? I love cardboard and paper. I mean, I hate the bottles.
Yeah, I heard you need goggles. I got these off my friend Bill. He didn't make it out of the mine, so I got this extra pair.
No, it's embracing the fact that the dude is coming. So...
Because I am trying so hard to keep it inside the body.
Excuse me. Double me.
Whether I'm passing out on bathroom floors or crapping in my pants.
Please don't eat me.
Almost as if it's letting out some last second gas.
So I drank a bunch, and I slept through the whole hurricane.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Getting drunk is not the smartest thing to do in a hurricane.
Boys and girls.
Says our meteorologist.
Yeah.
Dude, the car! it's floating!
And he goes, cinnamon toast and mazel tov and cinnamon toast.
Yeah, hey, Mark, it's Dr. Flappin' Pants.
Yes. Good. That means our equipment's working.
Yeah.
Even though it's ancient equipment.
Mark, because you got to watch that red meat.
I got to watch the red meat.
Chicken parmesan. Like, and he's like, yeah, you'll feel much better after you take a dump in the sink. So Allie goes, oh, we'll have one of those rape whistles. And he goes, ha, 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 ha. Hoverboards are here. I always wonder why they can't get the cold cut turkey to taste more like the Thanksgiving turkey.
Where is my nuts?
Where is my nuts? Where is my testes?
Where's my testes?
Get blood, get blood, get blood. Everybody get blood.